Welcome to... What do we call this? Welcome to the Overlady Reads Era 2.
Yes.
Yes, we came up with a name, finally, and that's what we decided to go with, and that's what you've read. So that's what we're calling this.
That is what I read.
Yep. Cool.
I read that. All of it.
Not just Era 2, you also read...
The Mistborn Secret History.
Yeah.
Fuck you for that.
No, look, you wouldn't have enjoyed any of it if you hadn't read that part.
Did you just need me to cry more?
Yes, I wanted to see you cry more. No, I wanted to share in my pain. Now you know what I've been through.
But I didn't need to. It was so unnecessary for you to do that to me.
Look, you wanted more Vin, you wanted more Kelsia, you got more Vin, and you got more Kelsia.
I didn't get a lot more
You
Vin.
didn't get a lot more Vin, but you did get a little bit.
And you made me watch them die again.
Right, before we get into that, shall we go into the first book you've read?
Do we have to?
Yes, we're going to have to cover Alloy of Law, Shadows of Self,
Okay.
and Bands of Mourning.
I feel like I need to preface it.
Okay.
The Wild West era is not my thing.
No.
I don't think I've ever willingly watched a cowboy movie or unwillingly watched a cowboy movie. I don't tend to read books about big pew pew gunfights.
Yeah.
So like none of this was my jam.
I was going to say, in fact, you've intentionally said you avoid modern day settings because you don't like modern day stuff.
Yep.
And while this isn't modern day,
it's getting there.
It's getting there. It's guns, it's cars, it's trains.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not my thing at all. So, unsurprisingly, did not enjoy it.
No.
It took me as long to read Era 2 as it took to read Era 1.
And Era 1 is like 3 times the length.
Yeah.
Maybe like half the length again. But it's a lot longer than Era 2. And,
Yeah.
It took you, about the same amount of time.
Yeah, Era 2 was much harder to get into, and it was much harder to want to read it.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons.
Shall we get into those reasons?
We can do.
Cool. So, Alloy of Law. Let's start there.
Yeah, if we must.
Yeah.
Didn't mind Wax. I thought he was alright. I didn't really enjoy the fact that literally any time he goes anywhere, there's a big gun shootout.
You did complain to me about everywhere they went.
Everywhere.
They left that location.
There was no just getting back in the carriage and going home. It was big gunfight followed by him flying through the city.
Yeah.
Like, there was no...
Sit down and just have a nice chat with people.
I think that's, for me, the biggest issue I had with Era 2. It felt like there wasn't a lot of character building where they just sort of sit around, hang out, be friends. They're just sort of always going from one gunfight to the next.
I will say, so Alloy of Law is not my favourite, and I don't think I've met people who it is their favourite. If Alloy of Law is your favourite, that's fine, but it's not mine, and it's definitely not Lucy's. No. And so it's a book that I feel it exists because it has to.
Yeah.
Like, Brandon never planned on writing Era 2, right? Initially, there was just the Era 1, like, Industrial Revolution, modern day space opera.
Yeah.
Era 2 came about because I think, if I remember correctly, he was feeling a little out of practice with Mistborn, and he just wanted to go practice with Mistborn. So he started writing a bit of like cowboy stuff, bit pulpy, a bit more pulpy, a bit more, not as serious, and it ended up being this unplanned quadrilogy now, because there is still a fourth that you're gonna have to read.
I don't want to. Marasai seemed like she was going to be a cool character for a bit.
Yes, I really like Marasai.
Oh. So she rocks up. She's a bit fangirly.
Yeah.
But then when she's talking to Wax, she comes up with some good theories. She has some good ideas. And it seems like she's quite an intelligent character. She can handle a gun. So
that's cool.
Always helpful.
I forgot about that aspect of it.
Because she's very forgettable.
Okay, fair enough. No. She's in my head. She's the smart one. She's like, you've got Wax, the good shooty, Wayne, the dumb shooty, and then Marasai's like the smart one.
She is for the first book.
Okay. We're going to try and keep this on the first book.
Yeah, we'll just do book by book.
Yeah.
The biggest issue that I had with Marasai was her creepy fangirlness. Because any time that she's sort of talking to Wax, it drifts into this big he's got some muscles under his shirt. Oh, isn't he hot? Oh, I shouldn't be thinking this. And then it goes to Wax and he's like, she's actually really attractive. And it's like...
I forget about that because Marasai is like half his age, I want to say. I'm pretty sure I looked this up. I think Wax is 42. Yeah. Or he might be 40 in the...
He's 42, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe we worked it out as that. Yeah. And she's in her 20s.
Yeah.
And, bit of an age gap, which I don't mind. It's the fangirl aspect. Yeah. The whole her being in love with him because of the story she's read. That's the bit that creeps me out the most.
Yeah, it's understandable.
And I'm glad that it's not acted upon.
Yeah.
So glad that's not acted on.
As you were going through, you kept telling me, like, I find this really creepy. I really hope this doesn't go anywhere. And I kept wanting to say, don't worry, it doesn't in the end. Eventually, they move past it, and it's okay in the end.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of creepy and very unnecessary.
Yes.
Let's talk about Wayne.
Woo, right.
I cannot stand Wayne.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
He, again, is in his late 30s. Like, late 30s. And he spends the entire book acting like a child.
Yes.
He just acts like a child. There is no kind of adult moments with him. He is just... He's a comic relief character that I just didn't find myself laughing at all.
Yeah, because he's that comic relief character. I really like Wayne. Asterisk. I really like Wayne when he's in a room with other people, interacting with other people. And as a comic relief character, he works for me. I find him funny. I find he plays off Wax really well. I really like the Wax and Wayne dynamic. When he's with like anyone else, with Marasai he's okay.
He's constantly like talking dirty to her.
Yeah.
Knowing full well that it's completely inappropriate.
That's fair.
And finding it hilarious that she's uncomfortable.
Yeah. That is Wax. That is Wayne's character.
I'm aware.
Yeah. But like when he's on his own, I especially dislike him when he's on his own, especially because the way he treats women is not the best.
The way he treats women is absolutely disgusting.
Okay.
Especially him and Gun Lady.
Renette. Yep.
Because she is clearly not interested in him.
Yep.
She's made it quite clear that she likes women. She doesn't like men.
She's had like a steady girlfriend for like however many years.
And he is very much under the attitude of, I can change her, which is the worst attitude that I can possibly think of.
Yeah.
It's just creepy. It's wrong. It just adds to how much I hate him.
Yeah. That's fair.
I really just don't like Wax at all. That's Wayne.
Wait, I was going to say...
Their names are too similar.
I really like Wax. When they're together, the two of them, that's a dynamic I like.
It's interesting that you don't like Wayne when he's on his own.
Yeah.
Because that's the only time that I sort of could tolerate him.
Okay.
Because when he's on his own, he does nice things.
Yeah.
And you want to like him, but you can't because he's just so creepy. So, yeah, that's Wayne.
That's Wayne.
Let's not talk about him again.
Okay, we can if you'd like. That's fine.
I mean, he doesn't add anything to anything else, so it's all good.
Okay. Do you have anything else about Alloy of Law?
Yeah. So, obviously they're kidnapping Allomancers, which is why they came after Steris and Marasai, because they're from the old... they're from Spook's family, going down the family tree.
What is their last name?
I don't care.
Okay. Okay.
They're descendants of Spook. Spook has a lot of descendants.
Yep.
And they have been
was busy.
trying to track down his descendants. And that's an interesting storyline that doesn't go anywhere.
Yet, there's still one book left.
No. Hang on a sec.
Okay.
Because in the first book, several girls get kidnapped by this group.
Yeah.
And all that they can theorize is that they're using them for some sort of like Allomancy reproduction factory.
Yeah.
At the end of the first book, once they get Steris back, they're like, cool, we got Steris back, life's good. Second book, at no point to do with it. At no point do they talk about these girls that are missing. At no point do they try and look for them or try and find them. They don't even talk to one of the other officers that's working on this case.
Yeah.
Nothing is said about them.
Yeah.
And then book 3, they start doing more of the uncle plot line, and I was like, cool, they're going to find the missing girls. They're going to stop this breeding factory. They still don't talk about the missing girls.
No.
They don't look for the missing girls. They don't care about the missing girls. Like, these girls, they've just assumed that they're being bred against their will, and they're fine with it.
And they're just kind of like, we don't need to look out for them.
Yeah, they don't. Doesn't matter.
Fair enough.
I loved the use of compounding.
Oh, yes.
Because obviously that's introduced.
Let's talk magic systems. It's not introduced here.
No, it's introduced in Era 1.
Yeah.
But this is where people are using it openly.
And it gets really interesting.
Because Miles was really interesting.
Miles is a great villain.
I love the fact that he's like, well, double gold, you can't touch me.
Yeah. And he just like, he's got so many metal mines.
Yeah. And
he's got rings, he's got them inside of him.
Yeah.
Like when they remove all the metal from his body and they like scan him with like iron or steel sight, right? And they're like, so no metal in him, but even then when they're like executing him, he's still healing, he's still going.
Yeah. No, he
definitely dies in the end, but he sticks around for way longer than a human being can survive bullets.
Not really.
Yeah.
He dies quite quickly.
I swear he takes like 3 volleys of bullets to kill him.
Yeah, it's pretty quick for someone that burns gold.
Normally one volley of bullets is enough. So,
mate, I could survive 3 volleys.
Do you reckon you could survive 3 volleys of bullets?
Well, these weak ass bullets that they use, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So that was Alloy of Law.
Yeah. What did you think of like Wax's powers, of the way he uses steel and ferrochemical weight? I can't remember what the metal is.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
I just
weren't that into it?
No.
Yeah.
And I can't understand why Mistborns aren't a thing anymore.
You kept saying this.
Yeah, because I think that getting rid of the Mistborns was weird.
I was going to say,
because one of my biggest issues with Wax is that he wears a mist coat, but he's not a Mistborn, and it really bugs me that he walks around like showing off that he's got a mist coat on.
Yeah.
But he's got no reason to. He's just a misting.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's got the Farukami as well. But like, there's not really anything special about him.
Just to clarify, you don't not understand why in the books there's no more Mistborn. You don't understand why Brandon made there be no more Mistborn.
Yes.
Yes, it's outside of the books. Why did he remove this narrative element?
Because Spook got around. Spook made sure that Earth was repopulated.
Yeah.
And at some point, other Mistborns must have happened. Because he got original Mistborn powers. So he would have been quite a strong Mistborn. And it bugs me that 1,000 years after the Lord Ruler first created Mistborns, they were still creating Mistborns.
Yeah.
Like, what, 200-300 years later, there's no more Mistborn.
That's actually a point I've seen people complain about because of the fact that 300 years after the Catatandra, or however you want to say it, I'm not French, so I don't know how to say it. Catasandra.
Mate, if you think pronunciations are proper now, wait for Elantris.
Oh man, Lucy started reading Elantris, and like the first thing she said to me when I got home today was, I don't know how to pronounce any of these words.
I can't say any of the words. I have no idea what's going on because I'm spending so much time trying to work out what the words are and what everyone's called. It's great. I'm loving every minute of it.
Well, you're not saying that you don't like Harath, the Shudareth Giorn, who's from the Feudal Empire. You're not a big fan of him.
I have no idea what
What
you're saying.
about Raoden, who was taken by the Shayot
don't know what you're saying.
after the Hoed,
I don't
and they
know
have
what
to
you're saying.
stop
I don't know what you're saying.
a diode.
This means
I can't
nothing to
remember.
me.
Anyway, we're talking about Mistborn.
Yeah.
Elantris is
If we
next.
must.
Don't worry. Yeah, that's something people complain about is that, or not complain about, but Spook can't have been one of the original. You know how you had the original 10 Mistborn, and they were the noble houses, and they say Spook cannot be as powerful as them because 300 years after Spook was was alive, Mistborn are no longer a thing, but like 1,000 years after those 10 were alive, they were still a thing.
Yeah.
So Spook must have been either like a Kelsier level, like Kelsier Bin level, or even lower than that. Like a real low-powered Mistborn. But I like to think there was at least one Mistborn child, and that they're out there somewhere. Maybe maybe that bloodline will come back. We'll see.
I don't know. The thing that would have made this book cool for me is one of these parties that they were going to. Rather than it being a big shootout, maybe as they're waiting to go in, they're getting tickets checked, and suddenly this person just strolls up to the door, and they're like, you need a ticket, and they're like, no, I'm a Mistborn, mate. Yeah. And they're like, whoa.
Celebrate
everybody sort of treating them as if they're actual royalty. Because I think something like that would be really entertaining.
Yeah.
They could have done that.
But they didn't.
They went for a gunfight instead.
Yeah. Every time they went for a gunfight instead.
Yeah.
That's fair that you didn't.
And they had those cool haze killer bullets.
Yes.
In the first book.
Yep.
They didn't seem to get used again. She makes a couple of special ones for Shadows herself.
Oh, yes.
But considering that every gunfight he goes to, he faces at least one other Allomancer.
Yeah.
I would have those as standard in one of my guns.
Yeah.
But, they just seem to be forgotten about very quickly.
That's fair. Brunette does always come up with something. I remember I was reading, so instead of, I didn't read these books. What I did is I went onto the Coppermind and I read the chapter summaries. And I did read about, Renette comes up with, obviously, she comes up with Hemalogic One in Shadows herself, and then in Bands of Morning, she has the super heavy duty shotgun shells for Kolos Blooded and Pewter Arms. So there is a bit of that.
Should we talk about Kolos Blooded?
Okay, yes, I want to talk about Kolos Blooded. Yes. What do you want to say about the Kolos?
So.
Yeah.
I am fine with them now being a species of people that are able to go about their lives, having a good time, able to reproduce. They all seem to be pewter arms, apparently.
No, I think they're just naturally ridiculously strong.
Yeah, but
Oh, okay, they're the equivalent of pewter arms, I think,
Obviously, if Marsh really wanted to make make a baby, I'm sure someone would make one with him.
Oh, well, the Inquisitors.
Yeah.
So I believe we know Inquisitors could have kids.
Yeah.
Just not many did, because...
So why can't Kandra?
Yes.
It bugs me to no end that they're the good ones.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are built of preservation. They're the ones that are supposed to be helping.
They're
but they can't make any more.
Yeah.
Why?
So this is my complaint as well. Is Sazed changed Kolos so that they could reproduce. I think Inquisitors always could reproduce.
Yeah.
But Kandra, they can't reproduce. No. If a Kandra is in a human body and sleeps with another human, that child will be a human. There is no such thing as a Kandra reproductive organ. Because they just can't reproduce, and
it's so frustrating.
Yeah,
why?
Sazed could have done that.
Yeah, I'm aware you can.
He didn't.
Do you know my thoughts on Sazed?
Talking about our thoughts on Sazed, should we move on to Shadows herself? Because this is where I have a real problem with Sazed.
I mean, I can't imagine why. He did nothing wrong.
Clearly.
So the book opens up with a flashback to oldie times.
Yeah.
And it's lovely. I could immediately tell that Wayne was there because he's not changed as a character since that time. He's still the exact same person.
Yeah.
It was nice to see Wax and Lessie going about one of their adventures.
Yeah.
It would have been lovely if there could have been a couple more of those sprinkled around.
Yes, I remember.
Because so far, all that we've had of Lessie is her dying.
Yeah, that was the prologue to Alloy of Law, was her dying. Yep.
And now we've had when they first met, and that's all we get.
Yeah.
He doesn't refer to her as anything but Lessie.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk about the fact they were married.
Yeah.
Because when I got onto Bands of Mourning,
yes,
and Wax says, "Oh, it's my second wedding," I was like, "What?"
Yes.
Because they don't talk at any point about the fact they were married.
Yeah.
Which I get that you said he wanted to do it intentionally.
Yeah.
But it just felt so lacking. Like, especially in Alloy of Law, where she only died like 6 months ago, and he's already not referring to her as his wife.
Yeah.
So it seems weird that retrospectively, he's referring to her as his wife like 2-3 years later.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like she should have been mentioned as his wife at least once before then.
There was one time. So what happened is Brandon, specifically for Bands of Mourning, wanted, after what happens at the end of Shadows herself, wanted the way that Wax thought about Lessie to change. Because he's actually getting married in Bands of Mourning. Is he though?
He's supposed to get married in this book.
Yeah. Because he's getting married in Bands of Mourning, he starts panicking in his brain that society is trying to erase Lessie. And so, despite the fact that they had kind of a shotgun wedding on the back of a horse, is kind of, I think, is the phrase used. Not shotgun wedding. That's a completely different thing.
Would have been nice if we had a flashback to their impromptu wedding on the back of a horse.
So because
before
of that,
book 3.
Because it was a not official wedding, Wax didn't really think of it as that, and it was only after he started panicking about marrying Steris that he started thinking of her as a wife. There is one instance where, in Shadows herself, where they're talking about when Palm is impersonating Bloody Tan, and he makes the offhand comment being like, "Why would he be running around wearing the face of my wife's killer?" And that's like the only time it's mentioned, and it's that one time, and it's kind of as an off mention. It's not really specifically calling out Lessie as his wife.
No.
And it wasn't until you started reading Bands of Mourning and you were like, "What's going on? Second wedding?" That I'd completely forgotten this was a thing that he only starts referring to as his wife properly in Bands of Mourning. And as you say, kind of comes out of nowhere if you're not really paying attention.
I think it would be nice, because as Shadows herself is supposed to be a book where he's reflecting back on what's happened.
Yeah.
If he had reflected back on his time with Lessie a bit more.
I completely agree, yeah.
Because he doesn't at all.
Yeah.
And at the moment, like, when it comes to book 3, being called his wife just seemed very jarring.
Yeah.
Because there was sort of no frame of reference for how long they were together, what their relationship was like, because you've only seen her in 2 scenes. You've seen the meeting and you've seen her dying. You don't really know what happened between.
Yeah.
I couldn't work out whether they were just partners.
Yeah.
Or whether they were in a relationship. Like, it's not
made super clear. Yeah.
And I just think that with it being a book where he's, getting close to his next wedding, he's thinking about things that happened in the past.
Yeah.
He keeps seeing Bloody Tan and he keeps seeing Lessie and he keeps thinking about them.
Yeah.
It's weird there weren't more flashbacks to the past.
Yeah, I think I would have liked to have seen. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen the scene where they get married on the back of the horse. It would have added a bit more.
That's there in book 3.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's mentioned very quickly in book 3.
Oh, okay. It's not like a flashback scene.
I don't think it is, but I read that like 3 days ago, so it could be at this point.
That was so long ago.
It really is. My brain doesn't work that well.
That's fine.
I don't know. It just felt like there should have been more reflection.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was another thing about Alloys of Law.
Oh, yeah.
Not enough Steris.
Oh, yes. I forget. Yes.
She turns up to present her contract. Her contract is great.
Yeah, her contract is
hilarious.
fantastic. Yeah.
And then she's briefly with him for about 2 minutes whilst they're at a party before the shootout happens.
Yeah.
And then you don't see her again until they're rescuing her. Like, it would have been cool to get a bit more Steris.
Yeah.
I'm fine with there not being a lot of Steris there.
Yeah.
But book 2, there's like no Steris.
Still no Steris, yeah.
Still no Steris. She turns up for like...
She's in 2 scenes in Shadows herself.
Yeah.
She goes to 2 parties instead of just the one.
Yeah. But, you know, not enough Steris because she's absolutely hilarious. So, doesn't have enough Steris in it for me.
Yep.
I feel like Shadows of Stealth is where you start to lose Marasai as a character.
Okay.
Because Wax is so worried about this whole relationship with her. He completely ignores her for the whole book. Which leads to her just sort of doing her own thing. And you don't get any of those sort of like intelligent moments from her. I think they've got like one scene in a lab together where they're trying to work some cat and that's it.
Yeah, I don't remember what you're about. Yeah.
The rest of the book, she's just following Wayne about like a little lost puppy. And like, she doesn't use any of her cool shooting skills.
Yeah.
She doesn't use any of her cool detective skills.
She gives... When Wax is impersonating that professor and he's got to remember, he gives her the... she gives him the answer, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's...
I was like, yeah.
Yeah. Like, she finds the letters that implicate the...
Governor in
Governor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Innate is a great name, by the way.
Right. But we didn't really need those because it was a Chandra and they immediately arrested and overthrew him anyway. Yeah. It didn't matter what he had said and that's what was in those letters. He would have been overthrown anyway for being completely incompetent.
That's fair.
And again, you could have got to those letters in another way. You didn't really need Marasai for it. She just felt very unnecessary in this book. Yeah. I love the fact that we got more Chandra. Yeah. I love the
so
fact
much Chandra
that
stuff in that.
Yes. I love the fact that obviously one of them has gone rogue. Yeah. And it's a book 2, so of course we've got to have a Chandra trying to work out who the Chandra is plotline.
I swear to God, if Era 3 has a book 2, who's the Chandra plotline?
It's going to.
It's going to now. This is something I'm okay with having as a constant.
Yeah. But that's the thing is that I like the Chandra and I don't mind that. And I like the fact that because the Chandra have got better at impersonating, and this is obviously so she's a 3rd generation like Tensoon. Yeah. So she's quite good at changing quickly. Yes. And because of that, she's good at very quickly changing between people. And that kept it interesting. Yeah. It wasn't like Tensoon when he was being the Wolfhound. She was constantly moving about. Yeah. So it was harder to sort of like work out who she was.
It was like, you could work out who she was, but she could change so quickly. Yeah. It's immediately doesn't matter who it was before. Yeah. Yeah.
And it was fun trying to keep up and trying to like get a step ahead of her. Yes. Got some more Tensoon.
I was going to say, speaking of Tensoon,
got some more Tensoon.
We got our grumpy old dog.
Why he's annoyed about Suni pups, I don't know. How can you be annoyed about those? They're so cute.
They are extremely cute. You definitely want a Suni pup, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, I'm kind of hoping that like he's got Vin and Ellen's bones and he sometimes puts them on.
We talked about
good old taste.
Yeah, it reminds us of, I said, he just puts the bones on, he goes and like messes with Marsh, you know. Yeah. They have a laugh and it's all good.
Yeah, I hope. So yeah, Wayne is still awful. Yeah. I think he just gets worse.
Yeah. You have the great scene where he goes and sees the girl whose dad he killed, who she clearly does not want to see him. But
he's probably made some sex jokes at her at some point. Probably, let's be honest. Yeah. Again, if he just wasn't so creepy, I could find something to like about him. Yeah. But I find it so difficult. Yeah. And because of that, reading his chapters becomes hard, because I just don't want to. For me, there is very, very little that redeems him. Yeah. and it's just not worth it.
As a comic relief character, I think you really have to. If a comic relief character doesn't work for you, they're just not going to work at all.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's happened. Is he just doesn't work for you, and then it's like, I can't.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what he'll do now, he's not redeeming himself.
He's just not funny in a way that I find funny.
That's fair.
And it's hard to get on board with his wacky, childish style.
Yeah, I will say when I'm reading his chapters, I said I think by the time I got to Bands of Mourning, I skip over his wacky fun adventures because I'm like, I just get to like the end of these chapters where the good stuff is.
To be fair with him, you can just read the last paragraph of his chapter and you get everything you need.
Yeah.
So Bands of Mourning.
Bands of Mourning, where you actually started to like Eritu.
I really liked Bands of Mourning.
Excellent.
Halfway through.
Yeah.
Speaking of how much I hate Wayne, who on earth
I know where this is going.
Takes it upon themselves to go, you know what? I don't want my friend to marry that girl, so I'm just going to go and dump a water tower on their wedding.
In his defense, he didn't know it would be that dramatic.
Well, what did he expect? Like, he purposely set out to ruin the wedding, and there was no need for it. Like, it wouldn't have changed any of the events in the book if they'd got married at that point.
No, but it wasn't relevant to the plot, but he felt... Okay, actually, I disagree with that one.
Okay.
So, firstly, Wayne felt like he was losing Wax, which is why he did it, and one part of Wayne's arc in that book is letting go of Wax. Secondly, Wax is still terrified of the wedding. If they got married then, he would have married her and still been terrified of the wedding, and part of his arc in the book is realising that Steris isn't actually that bad.
But he would have done that anyway, because he would have had to have spent time with her on the train anyway.
Yeah.
He would have just grown to like her a bit. And then by the end of the book, he could have made like a big romantic gesture to her.
But he did. He married her.
But he
That's a pretty big romantic gesture.
But they could have got married anyway.
Okay.
Maybe he could have like held the contract up and been like, I don't need this. You know?
No, Steris would have hated that.
I mean,
yeah, Steris would have been like, excuse me, it took me months to write that thing.
It only took her like a day.
Yeah,
she's very, very organised.
Very, very organised.
Love Steris.
She's great.
Yeah, I just don't know if I'd want to be friends with someone that goes to that length to ruin my wedding.
When does Wax find out that Wayne did that? Is it early on?
I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head.
He definitely does, though, doesn't he? He definitely does.
I'm sure he works it out quite quickly.
Okay.
And then Marasai decides that she doesn't need her job. She can just go on an adventure without having to...
Call into work and just be like, hey, I'm off doing this thing.
Yeah, she just decides, you know what, I'm going to take it upon myself to investigate something that's outside of my jurisdiction. And then she forces Wax to join in. In
the defense of the story, this is not really a great defense, but I believe the government... who's the person in charge of the constabulary? Like the general, the constable general.
You're asking me names. I don't do names.
Constable General Man.
Yeah.
In the first book was replaced by a Chandra.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah, and it's real on the down low. If you didn't know that, I would not blame you for not knowing that because it's real on the down low. But I feel like it's for things like this where if the Chandra come and say we have a mission for you, Wax, Wayne, and Marasai, then the Constable General can be like, bye Marasai, off you go.
But she still had other work to do. Those girls are still in their Allomancy
girls are still
reading program and nobody is helping them because they are busy going to other jurisdictions to meddle in the ways.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, once again we're just going to ignore these poor girls that we assume are in a breeding program.
Yeah.
Because we haven't got any further than
they're not even like pretending they're okay. They're like, oh yeah, they're probably going through the most horrific thing ever, but we're just going to move on.
Well, it doesn't affect them, so it's fine.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad we did get back to the uncle plot line.
Yeah.
Because, that was mildly interesting.
Yeah.
Once again, we go to a big party and we immediately start a shootout.
Not immediately. What happens first?
Oh, we meet Chris.
You met Chris. Yes.
I like Chris.
Yeah.
She's funny.
She is good. I like Chris. You spotted her immediately. Obviously, you didn't know she was Chris.
Yeah.
But you immediately were like, "Who's the lady at the party?"
Yeah.
And I was like, I think at that point I was like, "That's Chris. Yeah, she's a world hopper. You'll find out more about her later on."
We do.
And you do.
So yeah, that was cool. And then we start another gunfight.
Yeah.
Why didn't I like it?
I can't remember.
Oh, that's it.
Yep.
One of my biggest issues with Era 2 is the way it works.
Okay.
So if they had just been out in the roughs, going from town to town, doing these cowboy sort of things, I would have been fine with it. I would have probably gone along with the ride. But it's the fact that you're trying to take these big cowboy moments and put them in the middle of a city. It doesn't work because somehow we don't ever seem to get casualties, even though if you're having a big shootout in the middle of a party, you're going to get casualties. And I think that's what it is for me. It's that jarring kind of nature of it, where it just doesn't flow, it doesn't fit. But we're just going to keep trying to make it fit. And I think that's my biggest issue with Era 2.
I mean, because I read the summaries, and in the summaries it did say that they do kind of point this out when the police turn up, the constabulary turn up, and they say, "Oi, oi, what's going on here then?" They're always like, "Wax, you naughty boy, you shut up the place."
No.
And then Wax is like, "No one died though."
But they made him a general so that he can just do it whenever he wants.
That's because he's good at having a shootout in a city without killing any of the civilians.
Yeah, but how long until that doesn't work? We're putting millions of lives at risk here.
Wax is a weapon of mass destruction in waiting.
So yeah, Marasai, despite Wax never wanting to work with the Conjurer again,
convinces him.
Agrees to go along because he sees a picture of his sister, who he already knew they had. Yeah. So
he didn't know where they had her.
I mean, he's not interested in any of the other girls that are missing.
Why does this one matter?
Yeah. He's literally not seen her since he was 15. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So yeah, they get on a train. Steris is reading her sex book. Yes. Yeah. Because no one will tell her what she's supposed to do. Poor Steris. Poor Steris. She's trying so hard. She is. She just wants to be a good wife. She just wants to know what's going to happen. Yeah. So she, rather than going into her little quarters and reading in private, she sits in front of her future husband reading the sex book. And then acts all embarrassed about it. It's like, what did you expect to happen? Love Steris. Steris is great. She is just great. So then you get the hotel scene, which is, as far as I'm aware, no one's ever not found that scene hilarious. So what did you think of the scene, Lucy, in the hotel? Reminder, please. Oh my god! It's the scene where they all turn up and they're all doing their things. And Steris is like Wax is there like filling his metal mines and his guns, and Wayne's all trying on hats, and Milan walks in and she's like, "What boob should I get?" And then Steris is standing there being like, "By the way, things might explode, it might burn down, you might get shot." Oh, yeah. I believe I read that quite late at night and didn't particularly care for it. Oh, no! Obviously, you had Milan trying on the different boobs, and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Wayne just making creepy comments about everything. Yeah. No, I don't. Okay. I don't remember Wayne being creepy in that scene. He's creepy in every scene that there's a woman. Okay. He has to make some sort of remark every time there is a woman on screen. Okay. Hotel scene. It was nice. It was nice they finally got a scene where they're just sitting and chatting and being actual people. Because there's not a lot of those. Yeah, I think that was one of your complaints when you were reading it, was there's so many scenes where they go to somewhere, they do a plot thing, and then they shoot their way out. Yeah. And there's no scenes like how in Era 1 you have scenes of the crew just hanging out, having a drink, talking about what's going on, or not even talk about what's going on, they just talk about themselves. Yeah. And there's Era 2, because it's, I would say it's shorter, but short Brandon books are normal book length. And so even though they're shorter books, there's still enough room to let these characters breathe. It took a long time to get through.
And yeah, that is something that's definitely missing from Era 2, is just letting these characters breathe a bit.
So one of the biggest issues that I have with fantasy and technology is that in some books, they are two very separate entities.
Yeah.
Alloys of Law, Shadows of Self, they are two separate entities.
Yeah.
Like, there's no fancy steel push gun. There's no, like, the weapons anyone can use.
Yeah. They don't have, like, what were they called? Was it the steelways?
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't, you could have steelways running the city, but there's, like, none of that.
It's modern technology for cowboy era times.
Yeah, it's like early 1900s.
Yeah, it was the technology that would be modern to them at the time.
Yeah.
And it didn't require any allomancy to use.
Yeah.
So I fucking loved part 2 of this book.
Yes.
Where Allomancer technology turns up.
Yeah.
And it instantly improved the book.
Yes.
I love the flying machine that you have to be able to steel push in order to use.
Yeah.
I love the fact there's now a 4th type of metal, like metal magic.
Yes, yeah.
Because you've now got the removable...
The medallion technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably have a better name for it eventually, but right now it's just medallions, because that's what they're called.
I look forward to seeing where that's going.
Yes,
because that's
same.
really cool.
I am a big fan of medallion technology and seeing where that's going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other technology did he introduce?
So yeah, you've got the communication medallion, there's the weight mines, there's obviously the airship, which is great.
Yeah.
Love airships.
There's some talkie boxes.
There's some talkie boxes. Well, I assume they were just radios. Are they not just radios?
No, it's pretty much a telephone, but in a box form.
Okay.
Because they didn't no one else has that. It's part of the new alien technology.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like the new technology.
Yeah.
Interested to see where that goes.
There's the bands as well. The bands themselves are kind of a new technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I immediately guessed that his sister was going to betray them.
Oh yeah, that's the easiest twist in the world. Yes.
He walks into a room where there's no one really guarding her.
Yeah.
And she's just like, I just got off the phone with our uncle. And it's like, yeah, of course she's working with him.
I think there is one person in the room with her that she like immediately shoots and is like, thank God you're here to save me.
Oh no, someone with Colossus blood walks in and she shoots them and she's like, I'm going to kill Uncle, I'm going to kill everyone. It's like, no,
yeah.
Yeah. I love the fact that Steris being Steris and thinking, because the way that she thinks is so interesting, where she thinks 6 or 7 steps in advance.
Yes.
So knowing that something might go wrong, she hollowed out her book so that she could hide some of the mines in there.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Like, she is just the best character.
She is.
I like Steris.
I was going to say, when I was talking to people, everyone was like, it's like, I think you're really like Steris. And I was saying to you, I think you're really like Steris. But like, Steris isn't a character until Bonds of Morning. She basically doesn't exist in Shadows of Self and Alloy of Law.
No.
But when she comes into her and she's into her and she's great.
And she spends the whole time like, I'm completely useless. And it's like, no, you're not.
Like
you're probably the most useful person in this room right now. Trust me. Yeah. You are way more useful than Wayne is. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Era 2.
Cool. So you absolutely hated it. And hopefully, so the next one's called The Lost Metal.
Yeah.
So you can probably guess what the next one's going to be about.
ATM.
ATM is the big assumption. I like to think Brandon's going to do a twist and there's actually some Lerasium still lying around.
I'm sure there is, but at the moment the lost metal is ATM, so I'm just going to go with ATM.
That's fair. And hopefully you'll read that and we'll see how much Steris is in it.
I have questions.
Oh, you have questions.
I remembered my questions this week.
Oh, and then we've got to talk about the twist at the end of Bands of Morning as well. Because we also have to talk about Secret History as well.
Oh no, we're not talking about Secret History.
Oh, we're not? Okay.
No, don't do that to me again.
Okay, so you got some Era 2 questions.
I do.
Cool.
Who is Trell? I have a theory.
Let's hear your theory.
Right. So, going off of Secret History.
Okay, yes, because...
With Spook and Kelsey are chatting at the end.
Yeah.
I theorise that somehow Spook found a way to make Kelsier into pretty much an Inquisitor through the spike in the eye.
Yeah.
Because obviously he has a spike in his eye.
Yeah.
Spook, after 100 years of being emperor, is like, you know what? Bowing down. I've now got my mate Kelsier back.
Yeah.
We're going to go and explore the south.
Yeah.
So they go off to explore the south.
Yeah.
I think that Trell is Spook.
That is a fascinating theory.
Because I have a feeling that Trell is one of his Eastern slang words.
Okay.
And I think
is this
it's
why
like...
you asked me about the Eastern language? Okay.
I think it's one of his Eastern language words for, like, king or something.
Okay.
And, like...
Okay.
That's my theory on that one.
Interesting.
I won't talk about the shard yet, because we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about shards after Secret History.
Secret History.
Yeah.
Talking metal.
Yes, so I said I would. I'm happy
metal.
I'm happy to tell you the answer to this one.
Okay.
So, do you mean there's two talking metals? There's the one that's the weird spikes that are in people.
I don't mean that.
You don't mean that. You mean the advert that Chris and
Yes.
Naz put in the newspaper. So, that's a reference, we believe, that is a reference to a talking sword in another book. I'm not going to say which one. I think you know which one, actually.
That's nice, but then surely they would know if there's other talking instruments.
Well, that's why they put the advert out saying, have any of you guys heard about any talking instruments? Because they're probably, it's a very Chris thing to do to try and find that sword. Yeah. And so they put in the advert in the paper just to be like, oh, let's try and see if he's on this planet. Let's try and see if he's on this planet. Okay. They're looking for him. Okay. And so that's why they put out an advert for talking tools.
Cool.
Yes.
I needed that one answered.
Good. So that's the answer to that one.
What happened to the girls? I feel like that should be the biggest question that nobody seems to care about. These poor girls who, for all we know, because the only theory that we've had so far from the characters is that they're being used to breed with.
Yeah.
So, these poor girls, where are they? What's happened to them?
Can a bit more of that, please?
Can we rescue them already? Because they've been gone for a few years now.
Mm-hmm. I will say, so I believe Mr. Suit, I want to say the Wax's uncle, do you remember he had a spike in him?
Oh, I know that they've been experimenting with hemalurgy.
Yeah.
But at no point does he say like, we kidnapped those girls for no reason.
Yeah.
We killed those girls for no reason. They've not mentioned the girls.
No, what I'm saying is, where do you think the spikes came from?
No, I'm aware.
Okay.
But...
yeah.
I'm fully aware that they were probably used in hemalurgy experiments.
Yeah.
My issue is that our favourite hero characters, who are noble heroes, think that these girls are being used for breeding... and just don't care.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
So that is why my issue with the girls comes up.
Cool. What else?
I still want to know why the Kandra can't make more Kandra.
Because Sazed's just a douche like that.
Yeah, but...
yeah, also, we didn't even talk about Sazed. So I have thoughts on Sazed, right? Because I'm really mad at Sazed.
I was hoping I didn't have to talk about Sazed, but go ahead.
So the fact that Sazed is like, okay, Wax, you need to do this thing. Oh, no. Firstly, let's start at the very beginning. Sazed goes, I need a warrior. I need someone who's really good at fighting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this guy who's good at shooting and can, like, do cool steel pushes and stuff. And I'm going to get one of my Kandra to impersonate his wife.
No. She never existed.
No.
It was a Kandra from the beginning.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So from the very beginning, Palm was sent by Sazed to become his wife.
Yeah.
So to seduce him and spend they were together for like a good few years.
Well, don't know. It's never been said.
Oh no, because I think
they were together for 2 weeks, as far as I'm aware.
I think there's the flashback for when they meet, and you get the flashback for when she dies. You definitely get like the period of time between. I think it was like 10 years. They were together a long time.
But again, wouldn't know this. Wouldn't know.
And so Sazed sends Palm to go be his wife and manipulate him. And then Bloody Tan apparently was somehow being controlled by something, because Bloody Tan's last words was, we're moved by other beings. Yeah. Or we're moved by other beings. So that makes me think that Bloody Tan was also part of this plan. So then Wax then kills his wife, and because that's what he needed to do, apparently.
Yeah.
And that seems to have been part of Sazed's plan to turn him into the ultimate warrior, right? And then it all goes wrong. And then instead of being like open with him in Shadows of Self, Sazed's like, oh, by the way, can you go kill this woman? Yeah. And by the way, I'm also not going to tell you that she was your wife, and you're going to have to kill your wife again because I need someone who shoots good.
Yep.
And I'm like, I get that there's the whole shards can see into the future, and so they can plan really well, and he wouldn't have done it if it wasn't the only way that you could do these things.
So messed up.
So messed up though. And I'm like, as much as I can say, it was the only way to do it, I'm like,
no.
It doesn't mean it wasn't a shitty thing to do. Like
yeah.
So anyway, that's my opinion of Sazed.
Yeah, my opinion on Sazed has not changed. I still don't like the guy.
Yeah, that's fair.
I never will.
I'm super interested to see where things are going. But yeah, that's my problem.
No, I want us to go to the south. The south seems way cooler.
Yes.
Like, the south seems like my kind of place.
Yeah.
Like, in my head, I've got this, like, steampunky, dystopian future.
Yeah.
And it's way cooler than QQ.
Than good old Paradise Elendel Basin. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Why is it called Elendel? It's too much, man. Oh, who's Luther?
Yeah. Oh yeah, who's Luther? Who's Luther, Brandon?
Who's Luther?
Who's Luther?
Lutherdale must be after someone.
Must be after someone. Then you started reading Elantris, and you opened the map, and your first question was, "Who's Dula?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Duladal. Who's Dula?"
Well, yeah, obviously. I did appreciate on the map that Vindel is the closest place to Elendel.
Yeah,
that was appreciated.
Yeah, and it's like the little town.
It's not good enough. I need more.
Cool. Secret History.
Yeah, you made me read that.
I did.
You just wanted me to cry some more.
I just wanted you to cry some more. I just wanted you to suffer, really, Lucy.
I suffered.
Yeah.
Back when I read Era 1.
Yeah.
What was the first thing I said to you?
Literally the first question you asked me was, is Kelsier immortal?
And was I right?
My answer at the time was, I can honestly say that Kelsier is not immortal.
I was right.
And because at that time, he wasn't.
I'm right.
But
I'm always
right. Now he is, yes.
I'm very right about this. So yeah, I was right. Kelsier is immortal.
Now he is, yeah.
I love the fact that even in death, when he could be with Mara, he's like, no, I'm going to find a way to do my own thing. And then that massively backfired on him.
Oh yeah.
I loved meeting Fuzz. I liked spending more time with Fuzz because Fuzz was adorable.
He's a great dude. He's
like, Fuzz seems okay today. And then Fuzz turns around and half his face is missing. Amazing.
Yeah.
It was cool seeing the events of Era 1 happening from Kelsier's world.
Yes.
And Kelsier is still trying to be the one pulling the strings.
Yeah.
And not quite pulling the strings in the way that he thought.
Yeah.
One of the leftover questions that I had from Era 1 that I completely forgot about was the fact that in last book?
Hero of Ages.
Hero of Ages.
Yeah.
Then in Fairfax.
Yeah.
She keeps seeing...
Fairfax. Where did I get Fairfax from?
That's your fault. You made me do that.
Fairfax.
So in Fairfax, she kept following she kept having a Mistborn following her.
Yeah.
And one of my questions after Era 1 was, well, why was there a Mistborn following her if there were no other Mistborns?
Yeah.
It was nice to know that it was Kelsier.
Yeah.
He just wanted to fly with her some more.
He was just making sure she was okay.
So cute.
Yeah.
Until Ruin decides to steal that.
Yeah, so for when Vin's being followed by a presence she fields in Fadric City, the first time it's Kelsier, and every other time after that, Ruin's like, oh, I can distract her by pretending to be a Mistborn? Cool. So then every time after that, it's Ruin messing with Vin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting. And it was cool to see the steps that he went to try and help the guys out.
Yeah.
And he finally managed to get through to Spook.
Oh, yeah.
Spook.
Well, I was going to say, there's one bit, and it's you go back and you read Hero of Ages, and the one time that Kelsier does talk, it's like, oh, that time it was Kelsier.
Yeah.
It's like, it's different to all the other times that Kelsier is saying something.
And then...
Oh, the one change that we don't like.
Oh.
Because neither of us liked this.
No, I was very unhappy.
Yeah.
When reading...
Hero of Ages.
Hero of Ages.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love the fact that when Vin went to go and look for informants...
Yeah.
She went to go and look for informants. And she notices that one of them's called Hoyd, and she's watching him across a square. And she suddenly has a moment of, oh, he doesn't seem right. I don't think I want to talk to him. And she leaves. I thought that was great. I thought that was like such good instincts to
really
avoid Hoyd at all costs.
Like Vin works out that it's not a great thing to go near him.
Turns out it was Kelsier all along.
Yeah, Kelsier like whispered in her ear to be like, don't go near him. He's a weirdo.
It's a shame. Like it would have been nice if like
that was Vin's accomplishment.
Yeah. Maybe like having Kelsier stood to the side, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why go near him? And then him being like, yes, Vin, good girl.
Yeah, I would have liked
well done for not going near him.
You could have the scene be exactly the same of him being like, don't do it, but just don't have the bit where he does manage to get through to her. Have her realise it on her own. Yeah, that's one of my few complaints about Secret Histories. I don't like that they took Vin out, not outsmarting Hoyd, but realising there's something off with Hoyd.
I mean, I did appreciate that Kelsier managed to outsmart Ruin by getting the message to Vin via Marshall. Yes. Because he knew that Ruin wouldn't have picked that connection up. I thought that was really clever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it's one of those plot holes that when I read Era 1, I never pick up on myself. But there's that plot hole, how does the message get through from the city with the citizen, the spook city to Vin? It's like... Well... It kind of...
No, it's very clear. Because obviously Marshall intercepts the messenger.
Yeah.
And it's in the third book.
Yeah.
And he obviously reads the message and he's got that little bit of himself left in there. Yeah. So he's like, metal spikes, look out for metal spikes.
Yeah.
So then obviously when he's got her pinned to the ground, he's like, that's a metal spike in her ear.
Yes.
And then he pulls it out, which was lovely.
Yeah.
And then obviously it means that she can then become preservation.
Yeah.
And continue being preservation.
Yeah.
And not stop being preservation.
Did she just stay as preservation?
Preservation forever.
She was just preservation forever, yeah.
Yeah, the book ends with the world still falling apart and it's all good.
But it's all good because Vin and Eleanor are alive.
It's all good. I like the blue alien people.
Oh yes, the Irie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And their worshipping of the Shard of Fortune. Which I know you don't like this theory, but how many shards do we have?
We have 11, I believe.
We have
10.
We have 16 shards.
We have 16 total, yeah.
Can you name them all?
Do you want me to?
Go for it.
Ruin, preservation, ambition, autonomy, honor, odium, cultivation, endowment.
Ooh.
How do we... Dominion, devotion. And I think we're at 10.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
There's 16.
There is 16.
So me saying
left.
So me saying that they're worshipping the Shard of Fortune.
Yeah.
Not yet wrong.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Thank you.
We have not yet had confirmation that there isn't a Shard of Fortune.
Exactly.
But they were talking about the Cosmere attribute of people, which is fortune or luck or destiny or whatever you want to call it. That's what they were referring to.
He was very quickly told, stop believing in that one. You're about to become one.
Okay. No, it was...
So, no, it's what I'm going with. It's my theory. Do not tell me I'm wrong.
Okay.
Until I am proven wrong.
Okay.
And at that point, you can tell me I'm wrong.
Do you know what? There you go. You got a question to ask Brandon if we ever meet him. If he ever comes to the UK.
Well, it's been rathoed.
So, yes, we have it. Someone has asked, It was...
You wouldn't have rathoed it if it wasn't worth rathoing.
Oh, don't read into rathos. He likes to throw rathos out willy-nilly.
Look, I've been rathoed constantly over the last couple of weeks. I'm allowed this.
But the Shard of Fortune is a solid theory.
Thank you. I'm aware. I'm so aware. So yeah, that's everything so far.
Cool. You didn't want me to answer the trail question, did you? You wanted me to leave that for you're okay leaving that as it is now. You don't want me to tell you who Trell is or anything like that.
I'm happy with my theory on Trell.
You're happy that your theory that it's Spook?
Yeah, him and Kelsey have like decided that they're going to go and like team up and take over the southern continent.
And turned into a giant red cloud and attack Scadrial.
No, that's something different. That's fine.
Oh, that's not Trell, is it? Okay, that's fine.
We're just going to forget that was there. That was an accident. That was a misprint.
That saves it just being a douche.
It could be something different.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be the same thing.
It doesn't necessarily, but I'm...
Well, there we go.
Pretty sure it is, though.
Maybe not. No, I like the idea of Kelsier and Spook becoming gods in the Southern Hemisphere. Spook, you said that he must be a lesser Mistborn.
Yeah.
That the guy lives for over 100 years.
Yes, he lives to be about 120.
That we know of.
That we know of, yes.
At which point, he clearly has some greater power that's keeping him alive. Because at 120-something years old, he was still functioning well enough to be an emperor.
Okay.
So he must not have been at the end of his life at that point. That's just when he chose to step down.
Yes.
And it says that he chose to step down.
I agree, but also we know he was experimenting with hemalurgy. We know...
Yeah, on Kelsier.
Yeah.
He finally made a Mistborn child. He spiked it so that Kelsier could take over its body. And then they went to go and explore the world together.
That's a great theory.
I know it is. I know it is. It's best theories.
Cool. I think we're going to call it there because we've been going for like an hour.
Good.
Yeah. This was supposed to be shorter episodes.
Yeah, but I have a lot to say.
Cool.
The next episode is going to be 20 minutes of me trying to pronounce things.
It's literally just going to be us mispronouncing stuff. If you think I can pronounce stuff from Elantris, you got another thing coming.
I was so proud of myself when I thought I had pronounced one name correctly earlier until you told me that was not correct.
Oh, yeah, because you were like, I was like, oh, yeah, the female character. You're like, oh, Serene. I'm like, unfortunately not. It's
Serene.
It's Serene.
It's Serene.
Apparently. No, it's Serene. I can say Serene as well because it's like that's a name anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look forward to that.
Oh, yeah. So the next episode will be on Elantris. I have only ever read of Elantris once, and that was like nearly 10 years ago at this point. So I am also rereading Elantris for the next episode. So we'll both have read Elantris at the same time. And then...
I mean, you're listening to it. That's different.
I'm listening to it. I've already read the book. So cool. Thank you guys. Yeah. We'll see you guys next time. Follow us on 17shot.com. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on... Wait, we might not have an Instagram. Eric, if we don't have an Instagram, quick sign up before someone steals the username. Follow us on RSS feeds. We have a mail-in thing as well. Where you mail us and we'll mail you a newsletter. We don't really.
Sorry, I'm just falling asleep over here.
Are you falling asleep? The outro boring you?
Yeah.
We have a Patreon, so give us money. And thank you very much. And we'll see you next time. Bye.